The question of how life began is one of humanity's most profound mysteries. It has inspired philosophers, theologians, scientists, and dreamers for centuries. There are many theories about it, but no definitive answers. In this video, we will be talking about how life began on Earth. What were the first living things on our planet? And when did human life begin? Have you ever wondered what was here before us? How long have humans existed? Do we really know where we came from? And why do we keep coming back to these questions over and over again? Well, in today's video, we are going to answer all of these questions and more. So let's get started. What was the first life on Earth? Life on Earth is everywhere. We see it in the trees, in the oceans, even in the air we breathe. But did you know that there are also living things inside your body right now? Bacteria are single-celled organisms that live in colonies called biofilms. They can be found almost everywhere, including your skin and gut. Some types of bacteria help us digest food, while others protect us from disease. But how did they get there? The answer goes back billions of years to the very beginning of life on Earth. One of the earliest forms of life on Earth was a type of bacterium called an autotroph. Autotrophs are organisms that can make their own food from inorganic sources. For example, plants use photosynthesis to convert sunlight into energy. Autotrophs were likely the first organisms on Earth to harness energy from the sun, and this allowed them to reproduce and thrive in an environment that was very different from the one we live in today. Another early form of life on Earth was a type of microbe called an anaerobe. Anaerobes are organisms that do not require oxygen to survive. This would have been very helpful in the early days of Earth, when the atmosphere was full of poisonous gases like methane and ammonia. These gases would have made it difficult for organisms to survive, but anaerobes were able to thrive despite the hostile environment. So how did these first living things get to where they are today? Over millions of years, autotrophs and anaerobes evolved into more complex organisms. As the Earth's environment changed, new forms of life arose to take advantage of the available resources. For example, as the atmosphere became richer in oxygen, aerobic organisms like plants and animals were able to evolve. When did human life begin? Human beings are primates, which means we belong to the same group as apes and monkeys. Our ancestors were apes that lived in Africa. Over time, they began to walk upright on two legs instead of on all four. This adaptation allowed them to see over tall grasses and walk long distances without tiring. Eventually, these ape-like creatures evolved into Homo habilis, or handy man. This is considered to be the first true human ancestor. Homo habilis lived in Africa between 2.8 million and 1.6 million years ago. They were small, about the size of a modern human child, and had large brains compared to other primates. Handy man is thought to have been the first hominin species to use tools, which gave them an advantage over other animals. With tools, they were able to cut through tough plants and meat, crack open nuts, and defend themselves against predators. As the millennia passed, new species of early humans evolved, each with larger brains and more advanced tool-making abilities. Homo erectus is considered to be the first human species to leave Africa. They migrated into Asia and Europe, where they lived between 1.8 million and 117,000 years ago. Homo erectus had a larger brain than Homo habilis and was the first hominin species to control fire. Fire provided warmth and light in dark and dangerous places. It also made it possible to cook food, which helped early humans digest their food more easily and gave them access to more nutrients. Eventually, Homo sapiens, or modern humans, evolved in Africa around 300,000 years ago. Like Homo erectus, we have a large brain and the ability to control fire. However, we are the only surviving species of the genus Homo. Other human species, such as Neanderthals and Denisovans, lived alongside Homo sapiens for thousands of years. However, they eventually died out. How long have humans existed? Modern humans have existed for around 300,000 years. However, the exact date is unknown. This is because the fossil record is incomplete, and it is difficult to tell how old a fossil is. However, scientists believe that Homo sapiens evolved in Africa around 300,000 years ago. They then migrated into Asia and Europe, where they replaced the Neanderthals and Denisovans. However, some scientists believe that humans have existed for much longer than 300,000 years. This is because there is evidence of human-like behavior in the archaeological record that dates back 1.5 million years. For example, there is evidence of tool use and controlled fire use in the archaeological record that dates back to this time period. However, there is no physical evidence of Homo sapiens dating back this far. Therefore, it is unclear whether or not humans have existed in their current form for 1.5 million years. Do we really know where we came from? For most of history, people believed that the Earth was only a few thousand years old, and that humans were created by a supernatural being. This belief is based on religious texts such as the Bible and the Quran. However, in the 19th century, scientific discoveries revealed that the Earth is actually billions of years old. This discovery led to the development of the theory of evolution, which states that all life on Earth evolved from a common ancestor. Today, there is overwhelming evidence that supports the theory of evolution. This evidence comes from a variety of sources, including fossils, DNA, and comparative anatomy. Fossils provide direct evidence of the history of life on Earth. By studying fossils, scientists have been able to reconstruct the evolutionary history of life on Earth. DNA evidence also supports the theory of evolution. By comparing the DNA of different species, scientists have been able to determine how closely related they are. This evidence has shown that all life on Earth is related. Comparative anatomy provides another line of evidence for the theory of evolution. By comparing the anatomy of different species, scientists have been able to identify similarities and differences. These similarities suggest that different species are related, while the differences suggest that they evolved separately. So where did we come from? According to the theory of evolution, all life on Earth evolved from a common ancestor. This ancestor was a single-celled organism that lived in the ocean. Over time, this organism evolved into more complex organisms, eventually giving rise to all of the life we see around us today. Humans are just one of many species that have evolved over time. We share a common ancestor with all other living things on Earth. Why do we keep asking these questions? As humans, we are naturally curious. We want to understand the world around us and our place in it. These questions about where we came from and how we got here are some of the most fundamental questions we can ask. They are questions that have been pondered by humans for centuries. And while we may never have all the answers, the search for them is what has driven many of our greatest scientific and technological advancements. As we continue to explore the universe and learn more about our place in it, we will undoubtedly come closer to understanding where we came from and how we got here. But until then, these questions will continue to inspire us to learn and discover. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share for more interesting videos. Thanks for watching.